there's a short background. Now, with better understanding of the Kundalini process and unfoldment, I can't help but wonder if we are going through a massive collective Kundalini ascent. The reason for that being the connection between Kundalini energy and the planet Uranus in astrology. Igor mentioned some astrological links before, and I wonder if he has more awareness or insights on the connection between Kundalini and how it's represented in astrology. 2021 is dominated by the 3 squares between Saturn in Aquarius and Uranus in Taurus. Taurus is the physical body, and if Uranus is active there, it could indicate a necessity for Kundalini ascent in each and every human in the physical form right now on this planet. The square Saturn being the limitations of the physical form and breaking out of the idea that humans have so far about being in the body. Question: could this be the astrological explanation for the many struggles and tension this year brought to us, also on a physical level? And there is a note. Being an astrologer myself, it might be more on me to answer it from an astrological standpoint, but I wonder if Igor has insights on it or observed something similar in the collective this year in particular. Also, for the participants, it might be interesting to look into the birth chart to locate where Saturn and Uranus are causing that friction that could then be solved with the Kundalini process. Well, to the question itself, could this be an astrological explanation for the many struggles and tension this year brought to us all on a physical level? I just want to say something here to that, is that yes, astrology is a supremely important part of all that perennial wisdom, and certainly Vedic astrology is inseparable from the body of the Vedic knowledge. And it's all interconnected. Once you start to study, let's say, Ayurveda, the more you study Ayurveda in depth, the more it will begin to incorporate other aspects of Vedic wisdom, such as astrology, such as Vastu, right? Because you can't just address the body, but you would have to address also this body in terms of its manifestation at the incarnate level, which is predetermined by planets being in particular places, in particular houses at birth, which in Vedic astrology determined by this, it's actually called Kundali, this houses at birth. And Ayurveda, dealing with the body, sooner or later will begin to address the environment or house we live in. So that will begin to overlap with all this in environmental and structural aspects, which is the department of the Vastu. So there are many areas, right? And it will incorporate the value and quality of sound. So we go into the Gandharva Veda, right? The making of these sounds, which affects all the cells, all the functioning of the cells, pacemaker in the body. So of course, astrology is extremely important part. And as for the direct kind of answer to why this year has brought so many struggles and tension, It's just happened that, it seems like there is no lack of surprises and therefore no lack of struggles as well, in terms of what we are constantly being faced with. Certainly in my life, in the 55 years that I've been here in the body, I can assist that there is constantly something that is one cycle upon another cycle. This cycle ends, another cycle begins. So we're just now already ending this 20-year cycle, and another 20-year cycle about to ensue with this Jupiter being in retrograding in Capricorn. So all this, from the Vedic point of view, I don't know how the Western zodiac views this. How does this relate to Kundalini? First, I don't share this perspective that there will come a time when all human beings will have to have awakened Kundalini as a given, just because it is said or indicating somehow in the astrological charts, because that's inconsistent with the whole concept of evolution, because many of these bodies are taken anew. So the whole cycle, the whole evolutionary cycle, though all of us are human beings, but not all of us share the same amount of time being in a body. It's a very Vedic concept. One can take it or leave it. But there is no need for every human being to have an awakened Kundalini per se, because that's not how consciousness does what needs to be done on a collective level. It suffices that certain proportion of the population, in this case, if we are to speak of the population of the planet right now, if that requirement is met, if consciousness is active and in that state of self-referral absorption, and there is a possibility of that reconciliation that takes place on an individual level, then a critical mass is reached when that simply reverberates throughout the entire, let's say, cosmos of the shared reality of this planet Earth. So therefore, there's no need for every human being to have an awakened Kundalini to begin with. And that may not be even desirable from practical point of view. You see? It's an interesting and a big topic. So the astrological perspective here may indicate in a chart, because this or that, will give a certain sign. Like in Vedic astrology, they simply call it Moksha. Moksha means that a possibility for self-realization present in the chart. So you go to the Vedic astrology and they look into that and there's indication, there's moksha, there's a possibility. It doesn't mean that that will necessarily take place, but the possibility is there. That diamond is there, but whether that diamond will be cut, whether that diamond will actualize itself, whether that diamond will refract and reflect light in a myriad of ways to show all its beauty throughout its supremely refined structure. That's another story. But in potentiality, of course, every human being here is nothing other than Shiva in disguise. And I want to round this question-answer session with this reminder that every human being is nothing other than consciousness in a state of pure potentiality. Pure potentiality in the sense of its self-actualization. How does it show itself through placement of the planets. It's a different story. So knowing certain things certainly makes our job easier. But I would definitely recommend everyone to have a basic idea in terms of some of the transits which become crucial. Just like, let's say, a Saturn phase known as 7.5 year period, in Sanskrit spoken of as Sadasati. Normal human being of an average lifespan will experience 3 such returns. And because a full cycle of Saturn, as you know, it takes, what is it, like 25 years, something like that. So then, given that normal lifespan, there will be these 3 Sadasatya phases, 7.5 years of Saturn. And during these 7.5 years, a lot of things would be asked of us in the sense of what the impacts of these planets, of this particular planet represents. And that's why in Vedic astrology proper, it's the first thing that people ask to mark and to become aware of, because it's the time when we, as it were, being pressed by the karmic invisible powers, where all this being extracted out of us, and this phase is accompanied by all what Saturn is associated with. Saturn is not a party goer. Saturn is not a planet which happy-go-lucky. It's a hard-working, democracy-oriented, true democracy-oriented, equalizes everything. The king and the slave for Saturn hold the same value. It's the quality of that what makes us introverted. Whenever Saturn comes, it forces us to look inwards. All other planets come with benefits, fantastic, amazing things. But Saturn is known for best time for spiritual work. So Sadasatya should be known for every spiritually oriented being, because it's the time when an average householder, an average folk will dread to go through, because it's the time of saying goodbye to loved ones, to parents, to this, to that. It's the time when we will tighten our belts. It's the time when that's what Sadasati is known for. But at the same time, it's the greatest time for spiritual advancement and real spiritual breakthroughs, because Saturn is the guardian of all that. So this is, to me, more important for someone who is going through awakening, to know when these phases are, than to speculate in terms of how the planets are positioned in relation to Kundalini. Because Kundalini proper, from the Vedic point of view, is that what can be spoken in terms of macrocosm and microcosm. Kundalini can be spoken here in terms of understanding of the relationship between the lunar nodes that cosmic serpent beheaded, right? Forming Rahu and Ketu, north and south lunar nodes, places of the eclipses. So Kundalini here represents soul potential in its dormancy, and it may take lifetime or lifetimes for a full completion of its journey. So just one or another year here, to me, it's like open way too much to speculation to place our bets on. This is just my perspective, and I, as just I've been an avid reader of astrology, and at some point, not at all to give it a dismissal eye. contrary to that, I always advise to all my friends and students to pay close attention to what's happening in the planets. But at some point, you realize that there is no such thing as, okay, now I'm gonna have an easy way out of this whole thing, of this drama of life. So therefore, my perspective, every year brings some challenges. Every year, every day has ups and downs. See, what's important here is this Shiva in disguise as individual. What do you do with that? How do you reconcile that? That's where the attention goes. This is where the whole thing is. Okay?